But the next step on this worksheet, we're actually going to take percents and we're going to turn them into decimals. Now for starters, let me pull this up. Okay, so for starters, if you have just a simple decimal percent and you want to turn it into a decimal, all you have to do is just move your decimal point to the left 2 spaces. So I've done that here. The first one we had 37.5%. What I did was moved my decimal point 2 places to the left and I ended up with 0.375. The next one I had simply 3%. I moved my decimal point 2 places to the left and ended up with 0.3 or 0.03. That shouldn't be a decimal fraction. Take that percentage off there. So that is 3% turned into just a simple decimal is actually 3/100ths. And the last one, 0.42%, turned into a simple decimal. I moved my decimal point over 2 places, and I end up with 0.0042. So very simply, when you have a decimal percent and you want to simply turn it into a decimal, just move your decimal point over 2 spaces to the left, just like we discussed when we went over the decimals. So those are the easy ones. The ones that take a little bit of figuring is when you have a fraction that you're wanting, a fraction percentage that you're wanting to turn into a decimal. Then you just need to implement a little bit of math skills. So the first one we have here, number 3 on your worksheet, is 6 3/4%. And I want to turn 6 3/4% into a simple decimal. The very first thing I need to do is take this mixed number and turn it into an improper fraction. To do that, I'm going to take my denominator, I'm going to multiply it by my whole number, and 4 times 6, or 6 times 4 is 24. And then I'm going to add my numerator. So 24 plus 3 is 27. Okay, so now I have my improper fraction of 27/4. And I'm going to take 27/4 now and turn it into a decimal. To set up my fraction, to set up my equation, I'm going to take 27/4 and I'm going to divide it by 100. I know when I'm dividing by another fraction, I can take that second fraction, flip it upside down, and then multiply. So I'm going to take 27/4 times 1/100th. And now I'll just do simple math across the board, or simple multiplication. So I end up with 27. Actually, I'll just mark through that. 27/400. Sorry, getting ahead of myself. So I did my multiplication. 27 times 1 is 27. 4 times 100 is 400. And I end up with 27/400. The very last thing you do is you simply just divide 400 into 27. So 27 divided by 400, and it gives me 0.0675. And that's my final answer, 0.0675, or 675 10,000ths is my answer. So I took 6 3/4. I took that mixed number and I turned it into an improper fraction, and then I set up my equation. You take your fraction, you divide it by 100. In doing so, you end up multiplying by 100. And I ended up with 27/400. Then you just divide that. You divide 27 by 400, and that decimal point you get is your answer, which was 0.0675. We will, of course, do another one. The next one we'll work on is 1/4%, taking 1/4% and identifying what percentage or what decimal 1/4% is. In order to do that, I'm going to take 1/4. I'm going to divide 100. In doing so, I'm actually going to inverse that and multiply by 100. and I end up with 1/400. So then I'm going to divide 400 into 1. So 1 divided by 400 is 0.0025. And that is your final answer. That is the decimal. That is 1/4% turned into a decimal. We'll do another one. The next one we'll do is 5/16%, and we'll turn it into a decimal. In order to do that, just set it up. Let's do 5/16 divided by 100. Going to end up flipping that and do 5/16 times 1/100th, and I end up with 5/1600ths. I'm then going to take that, I'm going to take 5 divided by 1600ths, and that gives me 0.003125 as my final decimal. So 5/16% turned into a decimal is 0.003125. I got that by essentially multiplying 5/16 by 100. I got 5/1600ths, and I divided 1600ths into 5, and my answer was that decimal point. We'll do one more just to make sure you've got it. And the last one that we will do is 7/12. We're going to take the percent of 7/12 and turn it into a decimal. In order to do that, I'm going to divide by 100. Essentially, of course, we know that's going to be multiplying by 100, and we end up with 7/1200 or 7/1200ths. I'm going to take 7, I'm going to divide it by 1200, and I end up with 0.00583 if you want to carry it that far, or you could drop off the 3 and just be 0.0058. It doesn't specify where they want us to round to. So in order to, again, doing that, I essentially ended up multiplying 7/12 by 100. I ended up with 7/1200ths. I multiplied 7 by 1200 and ended up with 0.00583 or 58. If it doesn't specify what to drop off at, then it's your choice. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Hopefully that clarified any questions that you did have.